Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, about 8 a.m. New York time, a little pre market action. Let's take a look at GameStop. We wanted to take a look at some of the option flow, some of the top contracts by premium yesterday. Wanted to take a look at that chart and also give you that open interest update. We can see what's changed from yesterday's activity. I know there's quite a bit of excitement yesterday with GameStop, so let's break it down real quick this morning, get you set up and dialed in for the day. Let's take a look here at first thing we're going to look at is the net premium for GameStop. We can see yesterday 34 million in total premium with a net premium though of a little over 5 million, 5.2 net call premium right at 4.93 million. We had posted yesterday, we were actually doing a live right around the time the 21 and $22 calls started pouring in, which was right about here. We were doing that live and we did see a spike in premium and price kind of move up and consolidate a little bit and then push a little higher into the close. Net call premium we did see increase. That started pouring in about 9:15, 9:20. Chicago time 9:30 really started ticking up a little bit, gapped up a little bit almost by 10, 11 a.m. 10 a.m. Chicago time. And then we saw that first spike in the price there all the way up to 22.34. So the 21s and the 22s went in the money. The 21s were kind of at the money right when they were alerted, and I posted those on unusual whales. And those, I mean, if you were just trading those yesterday, if you bought them and then sold them on the pop, there was an incredible opportunity there. I shared those on the page. Let's go back to that so we can see those prices for that here real quick. Yeah, I had shared the $21 calls yesterday at 52. They closed at 209. We shared the $22 calls at 30 and they closed at 138. So I provided the opportunity was at 10 a.m. Chicago time. We were ahead of the move. And let's see, those were the fills there. The 21s at 52 and the 22s at 30. So try to get you guys the information as fast as I can, something that's actionable there. But we did see that spike. So let's jump back over here to the premium. We can take a look at it here over the last year for GameStop, up 68%. The year to date closed 29.66%. And GameStop is up 1,300% over the past 5 years. So let's take a look. Oh, I clicked the wrong button there. Let's take a look here actually at the highest contracts yesterday by volume. We'll zoom that in, make it easier for you. If you want to pause or screenshot, you can. See the $25 calls for this week, the 22s, the 30s, 21, 23, 24, 22 and a half, some 45s, 20. A lot of calls were the highest volume for this week. Expiry 25s for next week, 21 and a half for this week, 25 for the 15th. I saw that one, so we'll take a look at some of these here. And then we can look at like historically on some of that premium there. How does that compare to where we've been? We can see yesterday 34,194,000 total premium. For example, the day before 11 million. So a bigger day, 10 million, 13 million, 13 million back on October 14th, 10 million October 4th. So definitely the 34 definitely jumped out, stood out to folks. The last time we had this high, let's see, back on September 30th was 31 million. If we go back to like September 20th, which was OPEX, of course there's going to be strong volume day. That's near quarter three end, index ETF rebalancing, as well as the monthly option expiry. So that we had 47,000, or pardon me, 47 million total premium. So I mean, that was a pretty big day on September 20th as well when it opened at 1963. We closed today, or closed Monday higher than that on September 20th OPEX. So let's unzoom here and let's take a look at the top contracts by premium yesterday. So, you know, you've seen me post where I say, hey, oh, here's the top contracts by highest premium. Maybe this will give you an opportunity to look at it and we'll look at it together. So, we can take a look at GameStop yesterday. The 21 calls had the highest at 1.81 million. Here's the premium right here. Notional value of all trades today for the respective contract. The 22 call was 1.8. We alerted both of those very early and ahead of the move. So, congratulations if you caught that. And let's see the $20 call this week and the $20 call next week. $20 for January and 25s for January. We did see some, let's see, about 2.6 million in premium there. 20 on the, let's see, the 20 for November 15th, about a million. So let's look at some of these here on like the 21 yesterday. Let me turn on the 1 day here. We can take a look at that real quick. Zoom this out here for just a second. Here's on the 21s at 11,150 open interest. Volume yesterday 15,445. Saw 3,023 in new open interest today, so buyers and sellers, and did see a surge there of buying into some contracts there, about 3,000, 3,500 or so, right at the close for about 700,000 on the 21. Those would have been in the money, and there was about, like I said, 1.8 mil total premium there yesterday. Pretty strong day though for the call premiums and options and just move. We can see like the spike in IV on the $22 calls was 60 on Friday, 99 on Monday, and then spike, or pardon me, 99 on Monday, 60 on Friday, 107 is what it's saying today. So IV has definitely ticked up there. You can see like the 22nd was only 49%. The IV kicked up yesterday 99%. So this is on the $22 call. Here is when that alert come in on unusual whales for volume over open interest. And if you guys want to save any money on usual whales, they have a sale going on through Halloween. You can get 15% off. I'll leave a link on the video here, and you can check that out if you want. But that was alerted there, and they were filling at 52. And let's see, last fill before the close, 125. So $52 to $125 in the same day on a weekly contract. That's an incredible gain. Absolutely would be happy to take that. And they went in the money. Some of those fills on the $22 calls were around $21, $22 yesterday before hitting a high of 140. So not too bad there. Let's take a look at the 20. Or let's jump back for a second. I want to see how much open interest. Plus 2,088. 888 from the 22,000. And I'll pull up the open interest page in just a second. Let's look at the 20s for this week. 8,800 volume, 2,175 carried over new open interest. About 1.7 mil total premium. See, those were filling yesterday morning around about $100. On the spike, went up to 231, a high of 290. Looked like some of the fills around 276 into the close. So not a bad move there for an in-the-money call option. And then the $20 calls for next week. See, volume was greater than open interest. Open interest was only 2,500. 6,354 volume. And saw plus 4,958 carry over today. See, 1.5 million in premium yesterday. Noting some of this volume more at the bid than the ask. It did appear, so somebody could be selling 20s in an attempt to capture shares or off shares. Could be buying. For example, I had shared a post yesterday from TJ Wheel Deal, and he had actually closed some of his contracts. And I saw the order come through, and even though these were bought to close, it would appear, that they were sold. So it's kind of interesting on the flow to see what the actual transaction was versus how it was reflected. Because when he sold his calls and then they were bought by somebody else, there was the transaction. Because sometimes these calls do trade hands. So you guys could check out that post. It's kind of interesting to see this was actually a sell, but then on the whale side, it looked at as ask because, these contracts do change hand. When you're selling, it's to somebody buying, and when you're buying, it's from somebody selling on those option contracts, and they can change hands. Let's take a look at the January 20s. See 3,283 volume yesterday, plus 757. So a little bit carried over in open interest. Some of these you'll see where, for example, they were filling at 360 yesterday and then spiked to 480. Somebody might go ahead and capture their profit. Maybe they had 10 of those contracts. Maybe they went ahead and just decided to cut, 5 or 8 of them, trim some of that position. That's something you'll see. So there'll be some intraday trading of the contracts. Some of them will change hands. Some will just be scalping, take the profit. Some will close the position. Some will, sell them. Some will buy them. But let's see, like I said, those were filling around 357 and got up to 500 into the close with a high of 510. So, most of these contracts at or near the money had some good movement on them, especially with the spike in implied volatility. If we take a look at the $25 calls for January, a little more bullish with a little bit more time behind it, because there's kind of a profile set up, as the stock would approach 25 and or 30, that gamma pressure would increase on the stock. So if you had continued volume, continued option activity, and that continued upward pressure, you could see, some larger moves there. It's all about just continuation and validation or invalidation. Either you get the volume and the follow through, or you do not. In the interim, you just wait for the data and monitor your price and monitor your levels. If we look at the $25 call, see, we had 3,958 volume, but there was considerable amount of open interest already at 24,000. Plus 1,700 appeared today. About a mil in premium yesterday. You can see where someone hit it there at about 250 per contract, and those ran all the way up to 340 a contract, the high representing 345. So some of that open interest has built. It's now 26,000 for the $25 calls for January, and then the $20 calls for the November expiry. I saw those as well because I saw this order come in toward the close. We saw 4,610 volume, but only 375 appeared in open interest. So my thought here, let me click on the 10-minute. We had some buyers here at 176. Again, at 206 could have been some selling. Some of these initial buyers down here at 156 could have taken profits there because we did have some bid side activity. Let's see, 514 and 581 asked. So sometimes the buying and selling does occur at the same time. So you can see that in the candle. And we're trying to look at the bid and the ask based on like the spot price. What did it fill at? So in this scenario here, we can see some pretty large ask, and then some decent bid, and then a decent bid here, 600. So that could have just been somebody taking profits from buying at, let's see, 206, 216, maybe shaved a little off into the close, 291. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, you still have some time to expiry. They are in the money. Somebody just wanted to capture, a little bit of a upside there in premium. Nothing wrong with that. Taking a little bit of money off the table. And then the other one we'll look at is the 25s for this week, because those were also alerted for volume over open interest. And what that alert means is at that particular time, more volume had occurred than what was the open interest on the chain. So yesterday, the open interest was only 72.31 on the $25 calls for this week. Saw 25,834 volume, and then plus 7,000 appeared new interest, open interest today. 950,000 total premium yesterday. Some of those fills yesterday morning, was kind of wild, was $9, $10. And then on the spike with the price of GameStop to 22, those went to 51. So essentially a $10 move to 50. Not a bad rip. Not a bad rip on some out of the money weekly call options. And all the way up to 54 into the close. So not bad. High of 70. There might have been some fills around there. I just try to look at the average fill here. 47, 54. So not bad. But let's take a look at what actually did it pop up in the open interest. I know you've seen me post the open interest changes. Largest increases, largest decreases. So let me just pull it up here in real time through the video and you can take a look at it. See, the 25s were the largest for this week. The 30s increased. The 20s for next week up 40 plus 4,958. 45s for this week plus 3,714. And I'll let you see the list here. The 23, 24, 21, 23, 22. And you can see the expiry here. If you need a pause or screenshot it, you can do that. 25s. So that's where some of the open interest, the largest gains were. And then let's see what the decreases were. Maybe some puts left the table there. $20 puts left the table. 21 calls shaved a little bit off possibly. $3 puts. That's awesome. $2 a piece. Yeah, those are your open interest changes here. And let's pull that net flow back up so we can take one look at thing, and then we'll pull that chart up so we can see the GameStop did in fact close above the 50-day moving average, which with continued volume, continued testing of previous higher levels, continued flow like this, you could see that sustained 50-day moving average stick. We'll get to the chart and we can see how that's panned out in the past with the 50-day. So let's see here. Let's pull up the spot here. This is spot gamma for GME. So the spot means the price that we're now, where's the highest open interest and the volume. So highest open interest at the $25 strike. So what's spot gamma, you ask? I've shared this before here. Gamma per 1% price change, 11 million in gamma. Net gamma exposure, 2,173,000. So that's where we're talking about that net gamma when things get closer. If the spot price moves closer to where this open interest is, that could increase a little bit of extra pressure. Spot gamma pressure here, and you can pause this if you need. So that way you can understand it, or you have it for your, your reference for your material. Spot gamma exposure is the assumed dollar value of gamma exposure that market makers need to hedge per 1% change of the underlying stock price movement. A positive value is long gamma, while a negative value is short gamma. So investors, large funds, lower risk, protect their money by selling calls, buying puts. Market makers provide the liquidity to facilitate the trades. The GEX assumes that market makers are part of every transaction and that the bulk of their transactions are buying calls and selling puts to investors hedging their portfolios. So what we do with this information here, we can take a look at that gamma. So this is roughly the cost. Any 1% change is an increase in cost in gamma, which just adds additional pressure. So if you see, more calls coming in to the 23, 24, 25 and price elevates to that, that creates that traditional gamma pressure that you've heard before. So we can take a look here at the gamma exposure itself. And gamma is a little different than spot. So your gamma exposure is the assumed gamma exposure that market makers are exposed to. Great thing about unusual whales, they'll have a lot of EDU on there where you can look at things at real time if you're not understanding. So we have the put call GEX here, 0.23, net GEX 2.8, and then call GEX up 2.84. So that's on your daily gamma exposure. And then we look at the gamma exposure by strike. Again, should be around that 25. You see that net gamma right here in red? Right around the 25 strike. Before that's at the or after that's at the 30, and ahead of that at the 23, 22, because we're in the money. Call gamma at 20, 21, 22, and 25 there. It's always something to kind of take a look at there. And then the gamma exposure by expiry, we can see where the net gamma mainly is at, is on this week's expiry. Second to that would be the 15th expiry and the January and then next week. But traditionally, like sometimes with GameStop, I see a lot of activity, weekend for the weekly, week in and week out. So definitely something to look at. And largest GEX by strike and expiry should be probably around the 25 and then the 21 because they're at the money or in the money. So any larger move above or a sustained move, I'm not gonna say a squeeze or this, but just something to keep your eyes on definitely as we watch this. So Vanna exposure here. Here's where at price. Here's call Vanna. A little high around the 25. So like I said, any move towards that and that could get a little saucy. And there's your at 25 and 30. So I would assume market makers and those selling calls, hoping they expire worthless, would like to contain price at this level or the 50-day or below. So let's take a look at the chart here. And what a candle yesterday. What a candle. See the close at 22.75, a low of 20.73, opened at 20.82. You take a look over there at the left side of your screen, top left corner. We've got the 50-day, let me zoom it in. 50-day SMA at 21.57, the 20 EMA at 21.25, and the 9 EMA at 21.23. It did close above the 50. And you can see the last time GameStop was above the 50. September 3rd with a low below. September 6th, a high above the 50. September 9th, a close above the 50. September 10th, a close above the 50, but some lows right below it. Tested that 50 again back on September 26th, 27th, 30th, October 1st. Has served as a point of resistance. Now, yesterday was different. Larger candle, higher volume, large net call premium, increased premium. So you want to look for a sustained move. It was a great move, but you want to look for a sustained move. A sustained move, a push higher would be to retest a previous level. For example, the last high before yesterday October 1st, 2308. Yesterday high 2277, and then September 30th high 2364. So that's some of your EMAs. That's some of your option data. We looked at the Delta. We looked at the Vanna. We looked at some of the Charm. Well, let's actually look at that Charm real quick here. Call Charm here 25, 20. Yeah, put Charms there. Net exposure 25.30 as expected. So yeah, but that is your information on the GameStop. I figured it was a little bit easier, maybe not. Give you this video something to watch ahead of the market open. That way I can relay all of the same information I was essentially getting ready to post, but now just in a video format specifically for GameStop. And one last thing before I leave you, when you look at that net call premium just for perspective, was the largest day we've had in the last couple of weeks. So not a bad day, something to watch, something to look forward to. So just continue to monitor it day by day, watch your levels, always manage your risk, and just enjoy your day. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you on X later around today. I guarantee it.